Welcome to the Russell Athletic Bowl from beautiful Orlando, Florida. Temperatures in the high 70s here at kickoff at Camping World Stadium. The Miami Hurricanes searching for their first bowl win in a decade. And West Virginia trying to record an 11-win season for just the 6th time in program history. Alongside Greg McElroy, I'm Dave Pasch. Tom Luginbill will join us in a bit. And given the recent history, Greg, of both of these programs, this is one of the better matchups before the New Year's Six, because you've got two teams headed in the right direction coming off excellent regular season.
I think you can look at both programs and say the arrow is pointing up for Miami, 8-4, but they were this close to being 11-1, and then West Virginia, a great season at 10-2. Should be a fantastic matchup here today.
And Mark Richt in his first season back at his alma mater. It was a weird year. They started 4-0, then lost 4 in a row, including on a missed extra point against Florida State. Then they win their final 4. They haven't won their final 5 games since 2001 when they were national champs. And you mentioned a 10-2 record for Dana Holgorsen in his 6th year. He was a guy a couple of years ago. People weren't sure if he'd last. Now he's got an extension to stay in Morgantown.
He's done a wonderful job building this team. Recruiting from all over the United States. A lot of upperclassmen that are playing their final game here tonight.
Miami won the toss, deferred, so West Virginia will start on offense. Michael Badgley will kick it deep. Shelton Gibson and Gary Jennings for the Mountaineers. It'll be a touchback, and West Virginia will start on the 25 with senior quarterback Skyler Howard, who's 14-3 in his last 17 starts. From Fort Worth, Texas, went to Stephen F. Austin originally as a running back and a walk-on. Transferred to a junior college in California. You see his overall numbers as a starter and number 3 in school history in total yards.
Has a great feel for what Dana Holgorsen wants to do in this air raid offense. Downfield shots, and very effective when he decides to run the football.
The only guy with more career touchdown passes at West Virginia is Geno Smith, who had an excellent college career. The Mountaineers on first down run the ball, and there's nowhere to go. Justin Crawford wrapped up by true freshman Joe Jackson, who has had a spectacular second half of the season for the Canes.
High tempo offense is what they do. Not a ridiculously high completion percentage. That's because he likes to drive the ball down the field.
Howard going to keep it here. He runs over a defensive lineman for Miami. Chad Thomas eventually on the tackle, but Shaq Quarterman, a true freshman, met Howard in the hole and got drilled by the quarterback, who's only 207.
West Virginia, they're a little worried about the weather. Weren't sure how fast they were going to go. It's hot here in Orlando, but they're playing their offense just like we always seem to see from them.
They got a 3rd and 5 now. Play clock. Plenty of time at 10. And Howard to throw. Flushed out of the pocket. And he's going to keep turning it upfield and getting a first down. He fumbles the ball, and it's recovered by Miami on the 40-yard line. It's recovered by Kendrick Norton.
Just a great hit on Skyler Howard. Chad Thomas, number 9, getting in there, putting his shoulder pad right on the football to force an early turnover. Had a long layoff as a ball carrier. Running backs, quarterbacks, got to make sure your fundamentals are good after the long layoff after the regular season. And Manny Diaz, he says, we're ready, we're fired up here at Miami.
That defensive line, really the front 7 for Miami, a big reason why they won their final 4 games. They've got some dudes that are young on that front, including 3 true freshman linebackers.
All 3 are All-Americans as freshmen, too.
So first down from the 40, and they're going to run the football here with Mark Walton, and he's slammed to the ground. Maybe a loss of 1. Darian Howard is there with the stick for West Virginia. Let's look at Brad Kaaye, Jr. He's undecided. Mark Richt kept him away from the media so he wouldn't talk about his future. Doesn't know whether he's coming back. He's had a terrific career, school record in passing yards. You think of all the greats that have been to Miami. Number 3 at Miami with 65 career touchdown passes. Ken Dorsey is the all-time leader. Kaaye to throw on 2nd and 11. He's going to swing it out to Walton in space. And again, nowhere to go. Swarmed for a loss of 2. Justin Arndt, the leading tackler for West Virginia, is there.
Nice easy completion to try to get Brad Kaaye in rhythm. But it obviously goes for a big loss. Brad Kaaye, when he's at his best, he's as good as anybody in college football. However, he has had moments in which he's been very inconsistent. He's dependent on his offensive line, not the most mobile guy. So he's got to focus on that tonight against an aggressive West Virginia defense.
Kaaye on 3rd down and long, going to air it out, and he overthrows Coley. Incomplete.
Really difficult throw right there for Brad Kaaye. Well covered in the back end. Coley had a step, but he didn't have enough room. So good defensive adjustment by Tony Gibson, making sure that he forced Coley to the boundary.
Justin Vogel will punt now. Gary Jennings is deep for West Virginia. And this is a great kick, and Miami plays it beautifully. Remember, it's not where the feet are in college football. It's where the ball is. So you can have your feet as a gunner in the end zone and touch the ball as long as it does not cross the plane. And they're saying that it did. So it's a touchback. And they had it covered perfectly, but just a mistake there at the end. And as you see there, it definitely crosses the plane. Touchback. Crawford off the right side of the 43-yard line. So Crawford, he's closing in on 1,200 yards for the season. Again, he was not the starter at the beginning of the year. That was Russell Shell. But Crawford, the Big 12 newcomer of the year, had some huge games. 331 yards against Oklahoma this year. Howard rolling out here on 2nd and 4. He'll keep it and gets back to the line of scrimmage. Chased out by R.J. McIntosh.
Justin Crawford has had so many moments this year where you look and say, wow. I mean, he's had 500-yard games. You mentioned the moments against Oklahoma. He's a big play back and has a great feel for what Dana Holgorsen wants him to do when it comes to pushing the holes and getting an open space.
Howard's pass pulled in for a first down in Miami territory. Devontae Mathis with just his 4th catch of the year, but it's good enough for 10 yards, and they move the chains.
Nice throw by Skyler Howard. Defender had outside leverage. He throws it inside in perfect location to pick up a first down.
Instead, they check it down. It's a short pass to Shorts, although I think that's what they were trying to do.
Take a look right here, guys, and I'm standing facing the West Virginia offense here. Get a sense of just how short Skyler Howard is. You see the length on the front for Miami's defensive front. So you want to stay ahead of the chains, because if you get in 2nd and 3rd and long, now you're going to have to do more 5-step play action stuff. It's going to take longer to develop, and you're overmatched and you struggle to see the field. Got to get the ball out of your hand quickly for Skyler Howard.
He's listed at 6 feet tall. Here's Crawford to the outside, past the 30, shoved out of bounds near the first down marker by Jamal Carter. Going to be close to whether he got it or not.
This is where West Virginia has to get the running game going. I think running right into the teeth of Miami's defense between the tackles is going to be very difficult. But if you can get on the perimeter, they match up very well when it comes to speed.
Good running team. They're 18th in the country in rushing, and they are pretty good on 3rd down this year, 44%. This is 3rd and 1. And beautiful fake. Howard is free inside the 15, and he's able to make it down to the 6-yard line. Boy, that got everybody in the Hurricane defense, and it's a 25-yard run.
A great move by Skyler Howard right there on Darian Owens for big gain to set up 1st and goal for West Virginia.
They have Shell and Crawford in the backfield along with McCoy. You got 3 tailbacks in there with the quarterback, and it'll be true freshman McCoy. Touchdown, West Virginia.
When you get in this 3 running back alignment, all 3 backs are capable ball carriers. You don't know which direction it's going to go. They call his number and get into the end zone.
Kennedy McCoy, who's battled shoulder injuries throughout the year, gets the first touchdown of the Russell Athletic Bowl. The true freshman from Lexington, North Carolina. The Mountaineers take advantage of great starting field position and score. Here's the return by Malcolm Lewis. And he is out of bounds at the 20-yard line.
Let's see if Miami's got an answer, Greg, on the offensive line here with this pressure package system from West Virginia.
Getting into a big set here. Fullback, tight end. You don't see this every day in the Big 12 if you're West Virginia.
You don't see a 280-pound fullback that often either. That pass is dangerous, and it's broken up incomplete. White makes the play on Coley. Took a little while to get out there. White with a beautiful break on the ball to jar it free from Coley.
That ball took a long time to get out there. I don't know if Brad Kaaye didn't have a great handle on the football, but his arm is much stronger than throwing a lollipop out to the left side of the field.
That's one of the things you're talking about with him, though. Just times you see him throw the ball and you scratch your head. And other times, and he throws lasers. Here he's trying to get out of the pocket, a flag down, and Kaaye outside the pocket throws it away, incomplete. I think the flag will be for holding. Toyas Avery with pressure on Kaaye.
Holding, offense number 78. That penalty is declined. Third down.
You know, guys, when we talk about West Virginia, as you look at the hold here by St. Louis, we so often focus on the offense for good reason. Dana Holgerson's an offensive coach, Craig. But this year their defense has made a big step. And think about it. They had a first-round pick on their defense from last year. Carl Joseph is with the Raiders, and they lost 9 starters, had another injury in camp. But for the most part this year, they were very good on defense. The numbers got bloated after the Oklahoma game. They dump it off to Njoku, a dangerous player, and he breaks a tackle, tries to hurdle another, comes up short of the first down marker, and it will bring up 4th down on a punt. There's the D coordinator, Tony Gibson, for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, West Virginia knows their personnel. I got to give Tony Gibson a ton of credit. He knows they're not the biggest guys in the world, and their defensive line, you're not going to have a lot of first-round picks out of that group, but they create a lot of chaos in the front with blitzes and twists. And right there, you can see they're very well coached when it comes to playing the screen game as well.
Vogel's first punt was smoked. This one is short, and the fair catch made by Jennings. Only a 27-yard punt. Howard in trouble. Look out. Dumps it off, though, to Crawford before he gets sacked. And Crawford steps out. And Joe Jackson again all over the quarterback.
Tom, you mentioned that Skyler Howard's not the biggest guy in the world. He couldn't even find his running back on the screen, had to negotiate and hold it a little longer than he probably wanted to.
Yeah, he really did. And with the walls closing in, with that Joe Jackson, the freshman, playing really, really well with the throw out here. See, this is where West Virginia gets frustrated, guys, as we got a Miami player down here on the field, number 92.
And we've reached the end of the first quarter as well. That's Cortell Jenkins holding that right knee. 7-0 West Virginia after 1. We'll update you on Cortell Jenkins when we can. The Mountaineers here in Orlando with the lead over Miami, seeking win number 11. With Greg McElroy and Tom Luginbill, Dave Pasch back at the Russell Athletic Bowl, part of Capital One Bowl Mania. No first downs for Miami. Just the second time this year through 1 quarter. The other game was Notre Dame. And West Virginia has been near midfield to start just about every drive, and they have a 7-0 lead. Howard to pass here. Over the middle, it's caught into Miami territory. Da'Keil Shorts now 60 catches on the season. Jamal Carter with the hit.
Very tight coverage by Carter, but a better throw and catch.
And it's 4th and 2, and West Virginia is going to punt the football here These two schools were rivals back in the day in the Big East days. First time they've met since 2003, and Miami was number 2 that year. So their final meeting as Big East opponents. 22-20. West Virginia lost that game. They beat Miami back in '93 as part of an undefeated regular season. Barrios on the return and brought down by Justin Arndt at the 33-yard line. No first downs yet for Brad Kaaye and the Miami offense. Players in both schools visiting Give Kids the World Village, a nonprofit resort built for children with a magical castle and fully accessible playgrounds, pools, and rides. Though afterwards, some of the players in both teams got into it. There was some jawing, some trash talking going on.
Well, trash talk never hurt anybody.
It's at a charity event.
It was after the charity event.
Miami runs the ball here. Gus Edwards picks up maybe 2 as we look at tonight's keys to the game, brought to you by Franklin American Mortgage Company. Greg, some of the things you talked about at the outset and how they've played out.
Yeah, West Virginia has done exactly what they needed to do. Keep Miami off schedule. You can see 16 plays, 23 yards, and then West Virginia's offense, they haven't done a very good job handling Miami's movement. A lot of negative yardage plays have been forced by the Hurricane defense.
There's a negative play for West Virginia's defense. Al-Rashid Benton and David Long both in the backfield. So it's a loss of a couple on the play. It'll bring up 3rd and long. Miami's still searching for its initial first down of the game.
They're 0 for 5 on 3rd down, in large part due to the fact that all their 3rd downs have been like this.
Yeah.
3rd and 9.
Yep.
Difficult situations to be in, especially when you're going up against a very talented secondary and a defensive coordinator in Tony Gibson that likes to mix it up when it comes to pressures.
3rd and long. Kaaye hit. Ball floats in the air, and it is intercepted. Penalty marker is down, but it was picked off. Toyas Avery, who had a shot at an interception earlier, but couldn't come up with it, able to secure the ball there. But let's see what the penalty is about. Now, sometimes on those jump balls, you get interference by the defense or the offense trying to jostle for position.
Pass interference, defense, number 16. The penalty will place the ball at the spot of the foul and includes an automatic first down.
Well, that's one way to get your first down of the night. Instead of an interception, you get a first down on a penalty.
It's right here. Trying to get good quality coverage. And that's pass interference. No doubt about it. All over the wide receiver. Great catch at the end.
Right now, Greg, this is the only way Miami can get a first down.
Hey, guys, I think Dana Holgerson thinks the ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. And when there's a deflection, there's no interference. You're saying it wasn't, Tom?
It was not.
Okay.
I saw it clearly. Replay here in the stadium. The ball just came out of Kaaye's hand.
He'll throw it here, dumping it off to true freshman Richards. Amon Richards inside the 30. Richards past the 20. Heading for the pylon. Touchdown, Miami. He broke Michael Irvin's freshman receiving record. Led all freshmen in the country in receiving yards. He's over 900 now in the season. That's his 3rd touchdown.
When you bring pressure defensively, there's not a lot of guys in the back end. So if a guy misses a tackle, you're in trouble. How about Stacy Coley, the senior, getting a great block to allow Richards to get to the corner. Tremendous effort by Coley on the block. And a great individual effort by Amon Richards, taking it across the field for the touchdown.
The other thing, too, Greg, your quarterback's struggling, right? Give him an easy throw to your best player. Just get it in his hands, right?
Absolutely.
He does the rest. The 51-yard touchdown to tie the game at 7. Miami with more yards on that play, 51, than they had in their first 6 possessions, 40. And we're tied at 7. So Kaaye with his 24th touchdown pass, and true freshman Amon Richards, who is third team all ACC. Another one of those young studs for the Canes. And be a touchback that will come out to the 25 for the Mountaineers. Speaking of being in the backfield, my goodness. Zach McLeod mauls Justin Crawford the moment he accepted the handoff.
This Miami defense does such a good job of forcing negative plays. McLeod sees the handoff, immediately puts that right foot in the ground and goes straight to the area in which he would meet the running back. It's one of the best defenses in college football when it comes to tackling offensive players behind the line of scrimmage.
Manny Diaz, first year as the defensive coordinator, done a good job coaching up this young group. Here's Durant on the dump off. Excellent game tackling. There were 3 guys in the area. Carter brings him down. It's going to bring up 3rd down and 20. But you think about Manny Diaz, and there was a while where Diaz was getting a bad rep. He was in the media for the teams that he was on. The defenses were struggling, but people that are in the coaching ranks, they know how good of a coach this guy is. Did a tremendous job at Mississippi State, and was a great hire for Mark Richt with Miami. Howard dumps it off here on 3rd down and long, and running out of room is Crawford, out of bounds at the 24, and so a punt coming.
I tell you, Greg, you could notice how synonymous field position and team execution has gone with these 2 teams. When Miami was backed up, could do nothing on offense. Defense for West Virginia was cranked up. Vice versa, we're seeing the exact same thing now. Momentum is swung to the orange sideline with another great field position opportunity here under 5 minutes to go. Miami's got the momentum in this one here in the 2nd quarter.
Braxton Berrios, Thomas deep. Billy Kinney to punt here. And this one was out of bounds. Let's see where it crossed out of bounds. It crossed at the 41-yard line. No running room at all for Mark Walton. Guy that's had a tremendous year, but he just hasn't been able to get going. You had David Long and Wachuku in on the tackle. Walton over 1,000 yards on the season.
I think he's the most underrated running back in college football. Walton does such a good job out of the backfield as a pass catcher, in protection. He's quick. But you got to give credit to this West Virginia defense. They've been all over him tonight.
Voted the team MVP as Kaaye throws. My goodness, Coley wide open inside the 40 and keeps his balance to pick up additional yardage. Great effort by Coley to the 28-yard line. It's a 30-yard pickup for the Canes.
More pressure for West Virginia means isolation on the outside. A nice post corner. 3 steps inside, 4 steps out. Great route by the senior, Coley.
And now some tempo play action for Kaaye over the middle. It's caught by Richards at the 20-yard line. Gain of 8 on the play.
Kaaye is starting to get going a little bit. It's amazing what an 8-yard hitch route, where your wide receiver does all the work, what that can do for your confidence. He looks much more dialed in on this series.
2nd and 2. Walton, beautiful move. Walton to the outside, stiff arming, and finally wrapped up around the 5-yard line out of bounds by Douglas. It'll be 1st and goal after the 16-yard run by Walton.
I told you he's one of the most underrated players in college football. The jump cut, nothing there. Quick little shuffle step, bounces it out to the right. Doesn't matter how well you defend the run, you still have to tackle. Mark Walton makes it very difficult on West Virginia there.
Just a sophomore from Miami. Here he is, and stacked up down to the 2. So you say most underrated back in college football. Whose class do you put him in? I mean, is he as good as some of the guys that are going to go in the 1st round like Cook and Fournette, or do you put him a tier below?
His ceiling is that of Dalvin Cook. I think he has the ability to be that explosive. Now, he's not as big as Dalvin Cook, not as big as Fournette, but he's very versatile. He's an outstanding wide receiver, which I love, of course, as a quarterback.
26 catches on the year coming in. Kaaye back in the end zone. Touchdown, Malcolm Lewis. Lewis's first of the season gives Miami the lead.
Beautiful job by Malcolm Lewis, getting them both down. I know it's a Wednesday, but that's counting on Sundays too. Excellent throw and catch. And a great play call by Mark Richt as he takes a swig of Gatorade. Much deserved after that drive.
Well, you made the point again, that quick pass, get Kaaye going, get it to your best receiver out in space. Richards goes for the touchdown, and that does wonders for the quarterback, who hasn't had an incompletion since.
It's amazing. Most important part of playing quarterback is confidence. Right there, Malcolm Lewis fakes like he's going to block. Have a little bit of a play action fake. The safety triggers up and over the top. That's a difficult throw because you don't have a lot of room as a quarterback, and you don't have a lot of time. Malcolm Lewis is going to run out of space very quickly. Perfectly executed at the perfect time.
This offense.
West Virginia will have all of its timeouts and will start on the 25 with 2:11 to go here in the half. Were you shocked when you found out your former coach Rex Ryan was let go by the Buffalo Bills?
I was not, but I was disappointed. I think the world of Rex and always hoping the best for him and his family.
Howard keeps it here and does a good job waiting for his blockers to get downfield. Anthony Moten tackles him at the 30. Last 4 drives for West Virginia have been all 3 and outs. That play there goes for 5 yards. Just thought the timing was interesting with Rex Ryan doing it the week before the last game.
It's unusual.
Oh man, Da'Keil Shorts was wide open and Howard missed him. That would have been at least 15 yards and a first down, and who knows, Shorts had a cushion from the defenders for Miami. He might still be running.
Oh, there was a lot of room to work for Shorts. That's a bad throw by Skyler Howard. Just didn't have his feet set, and now you have a decision to make because Miami has all 3 of their timeouts. Do you run the ball here and possibly punt it back to him? I, for one, I'd play offense and try to pick up the first down.
Maybe you run it with Howard here. He's going to throw it on 3rd down. In trouble. Look out. And here he comes. Joe Jackson stepping out with another sack. Joe Jackson, the true freshman from Homestead, Florida, has been a terror the second half of the season. He now has 8.5 sacks.
Here he is, Joe Jackson. This was not a guy we spent a lot of time talking about when we did Miami games early in the season. But my goodness, has he come on.
And Miami uses one of those timeouts to stop the clock with 1:32 to go.
And Miami's making adjustments too. They're getting the ball out faster. That way, Brad Kaaye throws it when he's ready to throw.
Barrios, as a flag flies, trying to get outside. He does. And he's into West Virginia territory, but there's 75 flags on the field. They just threw 2 more over on the far side of the field.
2 fouls on the play. Both are back to the back of return team. One on number 33 is declined. The back of the back on number 4 will be enforced in the spot of the foul. 10 yards, first down.
Does that not look like the elder Vinny right there with the hair?
It does. It does. I saw him throwing it too. He can throw it.
Kaaye to the air on 1st down. Long throw. It's complete to Lewis, and he steps out of bounds at the 34. Lewis had the go-ahead touchdown. So it's a pickup of 4, and the clock is stopped. Again, Miami had to use that last timeout on the change of possession. Hurricanes seeking their 9th win. It's only happened twice since 2005 in Miami. 9 wins in a season.
Got a bit of a substitution adjustment there for Miami, which brings on an extra player for West Virginia.
Oh, dangerous throw that Coley catches. That was almost picked off by Justin Arndt and would have been going the other way.
Yeah, and Miami now, clock about to run once again, trying to steal some points. Obviously don't need a touchdown before the end of half, but be smart about what your field goal kicker's range is.
Kaaye's dealing right now. First down. It's Berrios inside the 40 at the 39. Their kicker, Michael Badgley's career long is 57 yards, so they're in that range right now with 50 seconds to go. Kaaye again a strike. Good protection for Kaaye. Lewis with the catch. Clock will stop to reset the chains.
West Virginia's opted to drop back, drop 8 guys into the passing windows. But right here, you might think some pressure. Here it comes.
And Kaaye going to take a shot. Open man. Touchdown, Berrios. Brad Kaaye has been perfect here in the second quarter. 3 touchdowns. That for 26 yards.
Outstanding job by Brad Kaaye, operating the 2-minute offense, knowing you don't have any timeouts. You can't take any sacks. Ball has to get out. When he got close to field goal range, you knew that West Virginia was probably going to try to bring some pressure to knock them out. He anticipated it, threw a perfect touchdown over the top.
And Miami will get the ball to start the second half. No first downs for West Virginia in the second quarter. And the Hurricanes in front 21-7 at halftime. Checking with Tom, who's with Mark Richt.
Coach, no first downs in the first quarter and a field position disadvantage. How do you account for the shift in the second quarter production?
Well, somebody made a play. Amon made a play and just energized the whole team. And that's what happens sometimes in games like this. These kids are young and impressionable, and something big happens, everybody gets juiced up, and I think that's really just what got us cranked up.
As a play caller on the early downs there, you guys struggled early, and then when the 3-man fronts came, you started to get some throws downfield. How do you account for some of those loaded boxes on the early downs offensively?
Well, it's not so much that. Their line's whipping us, is all there is to it. In the run game, we're trying to get something going, running the ball. We really haven't. I don't want to sit here and chunk it every down, but you know, we'll mix it up still, but we got to do a better job run blocking.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Mark Richt said his team gets juiced up. He's steady all the time. Regardless of circumstance, you know what you're going to get from Mark Richt.
And his team leading 21-7 over West Virginia at halftime. Back to Atlanta and Stan Barrett for the Buick halftime report after these messages. Welcome back to Orlando, and the Russell Athletic Bowl is part of Capital One Bowl Mania. West Virginia got off to a 7-0 start, but Miami with 21 points in the second quarter to take a 14-point lead. Back with Greg McElroy, Tom Luganville down on the field. I'm Dave Pash, and Brad Kaaye in that first quarter really struggled. But in the second quarter was an entirely different player, and that's been a common theme for him over the course of this year.
He really turned it on, and now the team, both offensively and defensively, really have a certain pep in their step, more so than what we saw in the early going.
And now 26 touchdowns on the season passing for Kaaye. And 7 interceptions, only 1 in the last 4.5 games. And Miami will get the ball to start the second half. Hurricanes trying to win their final 5 games of the season. This will be a touchback. Let's check in with Tom Luganville down on the field.
You know, as I talked to Mark Richt going in the locker room, we talked about field position changing and getting the big play to Amon Richards. So I see Tony Gibson, defensive coordinator for West Virginia, and I point blank asked him, are you going to continue with the 3-man fronts on early downs, which has allowed this Miami offense to get some easy throws and take the pressure off of Brad Kaaye? And he point blank said, Tom, I panicked. We gave up the big play. I got conservative. We got to get back to mixing it up. Expect more pressure and more crowding of the line of scrimmage from West Virginia and getting back to being who they are.
So first down, Kaaye has another completion. Coley inside West Virginia territory, 8 yards.
Dana Holgerson's beside himself because of that call. Understandably frustrated.
You know, Greg, this is where Dana knows he's got to be better with his sideline management of moving on to the next play. He's acknowledged that with us before.
Kaaye on 2nd and 3. Another pass that's on target. It is stripped at the last second. Xavier Preston appeared to knock it free from Stacy Coley, and so this is a big third down. There were 10 straight completions by Kaaye before this terrific play by Preston.
It was a great play. The window was closing and he was getting out there. Saw that the ball had passed him by, sticks his right hand out, jars the ball loose. Outstanding play in the secondary.
Njoku, and Miami has its first third down conversion. It's amazing to think you're up 21-7 in the third quarter, and that's your first third down conversion of the contest.
Njoku hasn't had many opportunities tonight to get free downfield. What he does best is put stress on the defense vertically. Came into the night's game averaging over 17 yards a catch. All of his receptions tonight have been around the line of scrimmage. He's got to stretch the field.
Another pass play for Kaaye, and the other tight end, Chris Herndon, wide open, and Herndon has a first down.
Dana Holgorsen really frustrated, still frustrated on the sideline here with the officials. Can't get a hold of the back judge, who he still wants to talk to. We've had an entire offensive series for Miami. This is where you got to move forward. Got to pay attention, focus on the task at hand. I know Dana Holgorsen's upset, but right now his defense has to get a stop.
Kaaye hits Richards, close to another first down. Antonio Crawford, who actually played in this game as a member of the Hurricanes a few years ago, then transferred to West Virginia, made the tackle.
Good early down play call right there from Mark Richt, who's the head coach and offensive coordinator for Miami. That was a play that Richards actually scored on earlier in the game. That time better covered, but still set up 2nd and 1.
Another pass play for Kaaye. Here's Njoku, and breaking a tackle, Njoku diving for the end zone. Touchdown! That is big and bad. Took Jared Harper for a ride and got patered.
Tackling. Defensive coordinator Tony Gibson was so concerned about it coming into tonight's game. That's now 2 touchdowns that West Virginia's given up because of poor tackling in the secondary. David Njoku, like Dana Holgorsen said, one of the biggest, baddest dudes in college football. Still no excuse for poor tackling in the back end.
And now you wonder, with the way this Miami defense is playing right now, West Virginia come back from down 3 touchdowns. Badgley nails it. Miami has scored the last 28 points, and it's Brad Kaaye with his 4th touchdown pass since the end of the first quarter.
He's come alive, and so have the Canes. David Njoku taking the bubble screen, getting to the end zone and celebrating with his quarterback, Brad Kaaye.
Glad to see what Coach Holgorsen's done with the team. He's got the best hair in college football. No one's got another chance on him. The one thing I got to ask Miami is, knowing that I was the head coach at the University of Notre Dame, how'd your trip to South Bend go this year? You only won 4 games, and you were one of them. Well, you got to do better than that. The Irish were very good this year.
That's West Virginia grad assistant Patrick Doherty doing Lou Holtz at the team competition at the Russell Athletic Bowl kickoff luncheon. Very timely, too, at the 30 for 30 Notre Dame Miami. By the way, speaking of that program, no surprise they have an unsportsmanlike conduct here, although it was against West Virginia. And he almost put that through. It wouldn't have counted.
He almost hit me in the head.
Speaking of competitions, now this is one for the ages. They could do without the bow tie, especially the one that Greg has on. Here's Luganville hitting a home run. We tried it all. This was supposed to be eliminated from the tape.
That's a minus.
What? That made air finally?
Tom putting in the trash can in Alabama.
This one was just despicable.
When we got away from football was when I started struggling. We went to this nonsense here.
Tom did not do a very good job dotting the I in Columbus.
Of course, no highlights of me beating the two of you back-to-back weeks in goalpost shots. You guys put the Riddler costume on me, and life ended. Greg ended up winning 23 points. Luke's 21 points. I finished third. So that's big for the Mountaineers. They're in Miami territory now at the 45-yard line. Still a ton of time left. Here's Crawford trying to find a hole, and he's bottled up. And, man, Joe Jackson is everywhere for this Hurricane defense. And he's 6'2", 250. He's only going to get bigger and stronger.
He is so disruptive. I mean, every time you watch him, every snap, you know what you're going to get. He's going to give you 100% effort until the whistle. For a freshman, that's the only way he knows. And he's been a real bright spot along a defensive line that I think has a number of stars that'll play on Sunday.
Howard dumps it off. Running room here for Durant. Cuts it back and has the first down to the 31-yard line. A 13-yard pickup. When you think about Miami's defense and all these freshmen, last year they were 77th in scoring. This year they're 13th. And they've got 5 true freshmen that are listed as starters on the depth chart, including Joe Jackson. Now, they just lost one of them, Pinckney. Darion Owens is in for him, a sophomore, and missed last year with a knee injury. West Virginia driving the football here. That pass a little too hot to handle for Shorts, incomplete.
Shorts and Skyler Howard not on the same page right there. Shorts was running back full speed and trying to get a little bit inside. Howard tried to hold him up.
Hey, Greg, you know, you look at from field level down here with Joe Jackson. He reminds me of what Arden Key at LSU looked like as a true freshman. Long, lean, quick, explosive, huge ceiling for physical development.
If you can stand out in this front seven as a freshman, you're doing something right.
Howard rolls left. He's going to take off, but there's just too much speed for Miami. Rayshawn Jenkins, the free safety, tracks him down. A loss on the play of 1. 3rd and long.
Great close by Rayshawn Jenkins. He held as long as he could. As soon as he recognized that there was nowhere for Skyler Howard to go with the football, he accelerated and made the sack. That's the 4th for Miami tonight.
Howard over the middle. It's caught. Shorts inside the 10. What a great throw by Howard. There were 2 defenders that were about to eat the quarterback alive, and Howard got rid of that. Short streaking down the seam for 26 yards.
What a great play. Knowing you're going to get hit, delivering a perfect strike down the middle of the field.
Here's Shorts again. Brought down short of the goal line. Wrapped up at the 2. 2nd and goal for West Virginia.
How about this answer by West Virginia? Miami has everything going for him. Just score. Playing extremely well. All the momentum. West Virginia with all their seniority. A lot of seniors. 17 fifth-year seniors on this team. A lot of veteran players, unfazed, putting together a really nice drive. But they need to get 6, not settle for a field goal.
Russell Shell is in the game. He's the back and gets the handoff. Nowhere to go. A loss of a yard or 2. Chad Thomas. So now you're 3rd and goal, 4-down territory for West Virginia at this stage of the game.
I think you get Skyler Howard outside the pocket, give him a run-pass option. If they come up short, I might think about possibly going for it in this situation, especially in a bowl atmosphere. Make the most of your final opportunity of the season. So I'm thinking possible 4-down territory if I'm Dan Holderson.
They just lost 2 yards. And here's Howard keeping it, and Howard takes it in for the touchdown. Tenth rushing score of the year for quarterback Skyler Howard, playing his final game as a Mountaineer. And it was that targeting call that started getting things going here for West Virginia. 9-play, 75-yard drive. The extra point, good. But Skyler Howard with the throw of the day. Watch this. 2 defenders for Miami about to squash him. And he gets rid of it to Shorts. They end up scoring. Skyler Howard from 4 yards out. You think Dana Holgorsen is fired up? No. Little struck still. In Skyler Howard's final game at West Virginia, he's a senior. 14-3 in his last 17 starts. Will Greer transferred from Florida, had that PED suspension. He's likely going to be the quarterback for the Mountaineers next year. They have a lot of receivers coming back. A lot of guys on defense as well. They'll lose their great center, Tyler Orlowski. They're trying to win a game. They're back within 2 scores. Miami's going to start on the 25. Midway through the 3rd quarter. Miami seeking its 9th win. Started the year 4-0, lost 4 in a row, and then won 4 in a row to end the regular year. And here's Edwards. Gus Edwards on the carry. We haven't seen much of Yearby in this game. Only a gain of 2 on the play. Let me go back to that pass by Howard. Okay, so how as a quarterback do you look at the rush but not look at it so much where you're not seeing what's going on downfield?
You have to trust your receiver to get there. You got to understand and feel, and it's a sixth sense. Not a lot of guys can do it.
Barrios out in space, and he has a first down to the 48-yard line.
Greg, I tell you, I don't think if you're doing it the way you should do it, you're doing it on instinct, you're trusting the scheme, you're trusting your personnel, you feel the rush. You don't see the rush.
Yeah. You ever feel the rush, Tom?
Right in my kitchen.
Barrios again out in the flat, tripped up by Avery, but it's another first down. This is what's worked for Miami, just getting it to the receivers out in space and letting those guys do work. That's 12 yards. And Kaaye on 2nd and 9 drops it to Herndon, and it's another first down. Kaiser White on the tackle. Well, you go back to when we saw Ohio State early in the year, and then we saw the midseason after their loss against Penn State, and it was clear he was more involved in the offense. They changed some blocking schemes. He went through that with us, and obviously they haven't lost since, including their thrilling win against Michigan. Here's Coley, beautiful move, and Coley pushed out, but it's another Miami first down.
Greg, this is exactly what we talked about before with Miami. It's one thing on defense if you're West Virginia to keep the ball in front of you, but you don't have the athletes Miami has to be able to hold up in space and make those tackles. This is just backyard football pitch and catch now.
RPOs, run pass option, is something that Mark Richt has really implemented. It's a big part of their identity offensively. When you get pressure, you throw the bubble. If you don't, you hand it off. Well executed by Kaaye.
Kaaye with a ton of time goes to the end zone, broken up. That's only his 2nd incompletion in his last 20 attempts.
And I thought he was there. I thought that was a touchdown, but an incredible play by Toyus Avery. Coming from the other side, getting across, high pointing the football, and knocking it down. That's just an exceptional defensive play by the sophomore Avery.
Had 2 interceptions in this game, both called back because of West Virginia penalties. Walton, again, that's Edwards, excuse me, pushing the pile inside the 10 down to the 7, and this will be a huge third down for West Virginia's defense here. Try to hold Miami to 3 points, trailing 28-14, 5.5 to go in the 3rd.
If I'm Miami, I think I might throw another bubble screen. West Virginia has had a difficult time tackling in space. I think they'll probably try to bring pressure here, but if they don't, maybe a quick bubble to the right.
Kaaye with everybody covered, steps up and sacked back at the 12-yard line. Christian Brown is there for the Mountaineers. He's a Florida native from Fort Myers, senior for West Virginia, and that holds Miami to, at best, 3 points.
It's been a cat and mouse game between Mark Richt, the offensive play caller, and Tony Gibson, the defensive coordinator for West Virginia. Never know when they're going to bring pressure. That time they opted to drop 8 and play great coverage and allowed their defensive line to break free, because you can't block them forever up front if you're Miami.
And Badgley from 30 yards makes it 31-14 Miami.
That was a big stop for West Virginia on defense. Miami was clicking. They weren't tackling very well. But as soon as you got close to the red zone, West Virginia buckled their chin strap and was ready to play in a tight field. It's a good job holding Miami to only a field goal.
Badgley kicking off. And Gibson decides to run it out. And he gets hammered at the 20-yard line. Wow. What a shot. Mark Walton does it as a runner, and he does it as a gunner.
Wow. I know NFL executives love this, because if you're not the starting running back, you're playing special teams. Well, Mark Walton is the starting running back, still playing special teams, and laying the boom.
That's how you make a roster for 12 years.
That's big time right there. What a hit.
So from the 20, Howard throwing it out in the flat to Shell. And Shell is up to the 27-yard line. Rusho Shell's been battling an ankle injury. Just 4 attempts in the last 5 games of the regular season, including 3 games in which he didn't play, but he's healthy. We haven't seen true freshman Martell Pettaway. They had to burn Pettaway's red shirt week 11, and he ran for 181 yards in that game. The next week, Justin Crawford was back in the lineup. Pettaway really hasn't played a ton since. But they had to burn the red shirt. They needed him that week against Iowa State. Howard steps up wisely, takes off. Howard, 40-yard line, into Miami territory, all the way to the 44. 28 yards. You got to love the way this guy competes, huh?
Oh, he runs. He plays so hard. Doesn't have anything open, escapes north and south, and then gets out on the perimeter. How about the job blocking by Javon Durant, too? Holding it up forever. And Skyler Howard lowering a shoulder. I'd recommend lowering the left shoulder, not your throwing shoulder, but anything to get the extra yards after contact, I understand. Your final college game.
Shell trying to pick a hole, spun down after a gain of a yard. Demetrius Jackson on the tackle.
Miami just ran in 4 new defensive linemen as 4 defensive linemen ran out. This group is so deep. They're young. They don't always know what they're doing, but they give 100% effort.
Howard steps up, takes off again, and just tripped up.
Greg, I think they're a little gassed as well. Just watching Kendrick Norton, number 7, get to the sideline. He's being attended to, talking to the trainer, getting some fluids. Those RPOs, as we talked about, run pass options. You get that ball on the perimeter, gets these orange jerseys chasing sideline to sideline.
A little surprised, Tom, that West Virginia hasn't used faster tempo to test the conditioning of Miami. It's been a long layoff. Oftentimes, you're not in the best game shape come bowl time.
Shell running the ball here on 3rd down and nowhere to go. Corn Elder on the hit. So they must be going for it on 4th down. Otherwise, why would you run that play there on 3rd and 5?
I agree with it, too. Now, obviously, you would have loved to have picked up a couple more yards there. But 4th and 4, plus territory, senior quarterback. I like the decision by Dana Holgorsen.
Down 17, late 3rd quarter. Howard, look out, in trouble. Swallowed at the 44. McIntosh was there first. And the Canes take over on downs. 4 sacks now for Miami in the game.
Manny Diaz bringing some pressure off the right-hand side. Nobody's blocking number 58, Darian Owens. He forces Howard out of the pocket, and the defensive line rallies to the spot. Manny Diaz loves it. Dana Holgorsen not as fired up as the crew on the other side of the field.
Run play here on 1st down. Yearby brought down at the 49 with Walton coming back. If Njoku and Kaaye decide to stay along with the young defense, Miami's going to be a top 10 team preseason. Still 1 quarter to go there for Miami to close out this game. A 17-point lead for the Hurricanes here in Orlando. Miami trying to get its first bowl win in a decade. Camping World Stadium, Orlando. 2 great games. We got Louisville and LSU Saturday, 11 a.m. on ABC for you. Heisman Trophy Lamar Jackson will be on stage leading into the playoff games. Play clock down to 1. Walton again stood up at the 44. A run of 2 yards that time. Wachuku in there first for West Virginia. Another big third down here for the Mountaineer defense. 31-14 Miami. Behind Brad Kaaye's great second quarter. And you look at his career numbers, 4th most in ACC history. He's almost at 10,000 yards for his career. And again, the question, will Brad Kaaye return for a senior season? He hasn't announced it, and they've kept it very quiet. Mark Richt really didn't want to talk about it this week when we spoke with him. He's kept Brad away from the media for the most part. Miami just keeps it on the ground with Walton. Busts it to the outside, lowers the shoulder. Great run by Walton, although he hurt himself.
Wow. I love Mark Walton, man. I love him as a player.
Although, did he just do some serious damage to his right shoulder?
Certainly hope not. But the game's on the line. That's called finishing the run all the way through. Lowering your pad level, getting enough. Just hope he's okay.
Gus Edwards gets maybe a yard. So when you see an injury like that, right, Mark Walton gets hurt. Now granted, he's coming back next year, but for those that support Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette's decision, granted for a different reason, they're going to go to the NFL, not to play in a bowl game. How do you guys view that? Do you think, first of all, do you think this is a trend, or are we making too big of a deal out of it? And second of it, what do you think of it?
Well, I don't like it, but I understand it. Leonard Fournette sprained his ankle in preseason, dealt with it all season. He's not 100%. Can he help his team win? Probably not. Therefore, he decided to move on. Christian McCaffrey, another guy that got banged up over the course of the season. I don't like the trend because I think this is the greatest team sport in the world, especially at the college level. But I understand it because those guys have such big paydays to look forward to as first-round picks, especially considering, Tom, what Jalen Smith at Notre Dame endured last year in the Fiesta Bowl.
Tom, you on the same page with Greg here?
Yeah, I don't like it. I can see aspects of it. My biggest concern is that there's a trickle-down effect, and players who have overvalued their ability level or what they perceive their draft status to be begin to do it, particularly with underclassmen, and then it becomes a real problem.
Guys, I have no problem with it whatsoever. If you're going to be a high draft pick, you're about to make a ton of money. You're not playing in the college football playoff. It's a bowl game. A lot of coaches have taken jobs and moved on. Why can't the player sit if he's worried about his future? I have no problem with it whatsoever.
And that's why I don't really have a problem with it either. But I think that you are focusing too much on the individual as opposed to the team.
Big hit by Kaiser White on Gus Edwards.
And not everybody's Leonard Fournette. Not everybody is Christian McCaffrey. I think that's the concern. You're right, Dave, in the sense that there's going to be those guys that are no-brainer type guys, but you also hit on something that's also very, very important. This is a byproduct of what we've gone through now with the college football playoff. This is what you get now because it diminishes the value, unfortunately, from a bowl perspective, and I think that's very unfortunate.
I don't think that it diminishes the value of the bowl games. I just understand, though, if you're a player and if you win, it doesn't mean you get to play again. This is it. This is the last game. Beautiful run as Walton appears to be okay. Back in the game, and he's to the 15-yard line.
Back to what we're talking about. I was in Birmingham 2 years ago for the Birmingham Bowl. The Florida Gators were playing ECU, East Carolina. And I saw Dante Fowler, who was a projected top 10 pick, probably between 8 and 10. He went out against ECU and had 3.5 sacks in one of the greatest performances I've seen from a defensive player in my career as an ESPN analyst. He made a statement. 4 months later, he was drafted 3rd overall. So I still believe the positives of playing outweigh the potential injuries or things that could come up over the course of the game.
Walton hit in the backfield, brought down at the 19-yard line.
You know, Greg, you talk about the potential injuries, and you're right. And in the case you're specifically referencing, Dante Fowler got hurt in a situation that wasn't game-related before he ever stepped on the field. So nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows when that injury is going to happen. And I agree, from your perspective, and Dante Fowler, in his case, did it with an interim coach. All right? And you're much better off, I think, taking the field in many instances.
I think we're talking about special cases, right? Fournette,
We are.
McCaffrey.
Not everybody's those guys.
This isn't going to be a trend. If it is, I don't think it's going to help that player. I think NFL people understand when Fournette and McCaffrey do it, as Walton is dropped in the backfield by David Long. But if there's a guy who is a projected 3rd or 4th round pick, I think that's going to get viewed differently. Plus, again, you've got Fournette and McCaffrey who have battled injury throughout the year.
And we'll have an example of that this year. Shock Linwood, running back at Baylor, decided to sit out his bowl game last night. How will NFL teams view him? Coming in, probably an undrafted free agent, maybe a late-round pick, someone they take a flyer on. Will he be penalized for having sat out the bowl game? My guess is yes. So I think more and more guys will look at this and still go into the bowl season viewing it as an opportunity to be gained, not an opportunity to be lost.
Walton on 3rd and 17, just trying to stay in bounds. And boy, he got drilled again, this time by Adam Schuler. That's 4th down. Let's see how Miami handles this. Do they bring on the field goal team here on 4th down and long, risk a block? Or they just run an offensive play? It seems like that's what they're going to do. Just stay on offense, 4th and 17.
Or let the play clock go all the way down to 1, call a timeout, then possibly run out the field goal unit. But like you alluded to, they're in no rush to snap the football, obviously, with the clock running.
Guys, I think when these players get in the room and are getting interviewed by personnel men, general managers, owners, coaches, I think it's going to be a question. Why did you sit out the game? Tell me. But I really don't think it will have any bearing on where somebody gets drafted.
As a quarterback, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And man, did he finish strong tonight against a very good West Virginia defense.
Hurricanes turn it over on downs. They don't want to risk the block field goal for points for West Virginia, so they just run the ball to Walton. And we'll see again what Brad Kaaye decides regarding 2017 if he's back. Certainly if he does return. This will be a team to watch as they'll play in non-conference action. Arkansas State on the road, Toledo, Notre Dame. Notre Dame coming off a bad year, and now Deshaun Kaiser won't be there.
Man, I'm excited about Miami next year. I mean, really excited. The biggest jump you make as a college athlete is between your freshman and sophomore year.
Petaway is picked up and suplexed. Adrian Colbert.
Wow. I mean, that's playing to the whistle, is it not? They've seen that play several times tonight. Colbert diagnosed that in a heartbeat.
Petway's not going to be too happy there with Shelton Gibson on the perimeter.
No.
I'm with you on Miami, though. I think this is a team, again, I think so much depends on Kaaye. The backup quarterback is Malik Rozier. Don't know if he's going to be the answer if Kaaye leaves, but if Kaaye is back, as Howard in trouble, just launches it downfield incomplete. The Hurricanes, they're going to be in the top 10 preseason. And let's take a look at what they've got. On the road, they have to go to Tallahassee. I mean, look at that home schedule now.
Yeah. North Carolina's going to be tough, especially if Mitch Trubisky decides to return.
Which you don't think will happen, do you?
I don't think he will, but I look at Mark Richt, and I look at how even-keeled he is. No matter the circumstance, he's always the same guy. And for a young team, it's exactly what you need. You know what you're going to get from him every day. And he is one of the best when it comes to developing talent. They're poised for big things at the U in the years to come.
Petaway tackled at the 15. You know, Mark Richt happy to be back at Miami, but one of the things that brought him the most joy about this opportunity is getting to coach with his son.
Yeah.
John Richt, who is the quarterback coach. And obviously that is where Mark's background is as a former quarterback. And you know, asked him before, because you have some of these situations where you've got father and son on the same staff, or you got a player who is the son of a coach, and we asked him when we had him early in the year, does he call you coach? He said, nope, just calls me dad. Well, John is when you're working with a player like Brad Kaaye, it's a lot of pressure for a young coach, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's done a nice job. It'll go out of bounds at the 22-yard line.
I looked the numbers up. Mark Richt in his 15 years at Georgia was 145 and 51, if I'm not mistaken. So this won't be the last 9-win season for the Hurricanes under his leadership.
You're right on the record. 2 SEC titles. Richt will improve to 10-5 in bowl games. And for the first time in a decade, Miami wins a bowl game. And one of their own is running the show. Former Cane quarterback Mark Richt saying there's one more play. You're supposed to wait for the Gatorade shower until after the game is officially over.
I think they're going to get him again. Yeah, they did.
Now he'll celebrate.
Now you can celebrate. Good for them. An up and down year, but you put a bow on it in outstanding fashion.
Start 4-0, then lose 4 in a row, finish winning 5 in a row for the first time since 2001 when they won the national championship. Will they be in the national championship discussion in 2017? Coach Richt now with Tom.
Coach, you told me at halftime you needed the one big play. You got it. It flipped momentum. It flipped field position. But then you have a 20-minute layoff at half. Right. What was the message to sustain that intensity in the second half?
Just finish. Let's see if we can end this game without drama. I was talking about what was probably happening in their locker room and how much energy they were going to come out with. And I was like, we better match it or beat it, because you know they're a great team. You don't win 10 games without being a great football team.
What was the difference for Brad Kaaye after a rough start in the first quarter to turn around and just start throwing darts?
He did. He started throwing darts. Just that one little quick hitch, I think, even helped his confidence as well. And then after that, he just started putting them on the money.
As a Miami alum, your first year back as the head coach, the first time since 2001, this program has finished the season with 5 wins. What does that mean to you?
Well, it's awesome. And, you know, I'm really hoping we end up in the top 25. I know it's up to the voters, but we played a great football team and played them well. And I'm hoping that we can finish there, too. But bottom line is these guys play their tails off for us and for each other, and I'm just real proud of them.
Go dry off and enjoy that Gatorade bath, will you?
All right, thank you.
I think they will end up ranked. I think it's interesting, too, that Coach Richt says that's important for this group to finish in the top 25. Their defense held West Virginia to a season low 229 yards of offense. This is a team that has averaged over 500 yards of offense. All right, Brad Kaaye, if this is his last game in Miami, finishes with 4 touchdown passes as Miami beats West Virginia 31-14. Be sure to catch the Russell Athletic Bowl Trophy ceremony presented by Capital One coming up next on ESPN3. So long from Orlando. Now to Reese Davis in Arizona.